Hello and welcome back to the channel and welcome to my new series which is going to be called the Red Revival. Basically we're looking to take Aberdeen back to greatness in this, first of all domestically by toppling the old firm if possible, and secondly then leading on to Europe to try and bring back the glory days. Aberdeen of course previous cup winners. Expect this to be quite a long series, so I'll be posting up some regular content with it, so if you want to follow along then please feel free to subscribe. So I've downloaded the most recent database update from Sort It Out SI, so all of the transfers, promotions and relegations and so on will have gone through, but we will start the season in the 3rd of July 2023. So without further ado, what we'll do is we'll introduce you to the club from here. So as we can see, I'm in the club info page for Aberdeen. If we can move over, the prediction here is 4th for the league. And professional status, training facilities currently 3.5 star along with the youth facilities. Reputation's 3-star national and finances are 3-star as well. So at the moment we don't have a great deal of money. Graham Shinney's the current club captain, and Helton Nielsen, who's a new signing at the club, is the key player. Jamie Mercer's the current hot prospect within the squad, so we'll see if there's any way that we can kind of nurture him to greatness. Tawdry Stadium's where we'll be playing our games, capacity at 19,672. And if we come up here to the corner, you can see our lovely strips. So we've got our nice red home strip, our Northern Lights away strip, and our third kit. So these are actually last season's kits, but that's okay. So we'll move on and introduce you to some of the squad. So let's take a look at our wonderful starting squad. We can see it's quite a big squad at the minute. So we'll sort it just now by ability, and we can get a look at our better players. So Nielsen's rated our best player at 4 stars. He is 32 though. Keskinen is quite young. He's rated our second best player. And we've got Duke, who's currently AWOL in real life. Kevin Nesbitt, who's just recently came in on loan. Jamie McGrath. Leighton Clarkson, who came from Liverpool previously. Ante Palaversa, who's also a new signing, previously signed for Man City. But we'll get a good proper look through the squad, show you what I'm working with. So Dimitar Mitov is our first choice goalkeeper. Looks relatively handy, he's got decent reflexes, 1-on-1s, good handling, positioning could be better, decent jumping reach and decent command of the area and aerial reach there, so he should do alright for us. Anticipation's maybe a little bit lacking and concentration's pretty good. I think we can improve on him, but he's good enough for now. Doohan's our backup goalkeeper. He's not the best, really less said about him the better. Nicky Devlin actually thinks one of our better players, real life and in this. So he's going to be one of our starting, well he's going to be our starting right back, let's be honest. He's got great work rate and aggression, which I like in my wing backs. Good stamina, pace and acceleration's okay. He is 30 years old, so he's likely to decline soon, but he has decent technical attributes, good marking, good off the ball and positioning and teamwork. Pretty good and solid mentally, so looks a great player for us. Angus MacDonald, centre back, he's down as a regular starter. I don't really rate him too highly, particularly in the game. Positioning is quite poor, he's quite slow as well. As much as he's 6'3", he doesn't have the greatest of jumping reach or the greatest of strength. Heading's okay, tackling's okay, mentally he's pretty decent, but maybe look to improving him. Rubezic, quite similar. The only thing with Rubezic is he's 24 years old, so he's got room to improve, and he's 6'4" with good jumping reach and aggression and good heading. Mental attributes could be better, positioning is good, tackling's good, as is marking, and the heading's good, so he'll be a real threat for us from corners. Richard Jensen, probably would have liked to still had him around because we're quite short at the back, but he's on loan. Jack McKenzie is probably going to be our starting left back, especially initially. He's quite good physically, good pace, stamina and acceleration. Does lack a little bit mentally, but he does have good determination, work rate and positioning and teamwork. So if we can get him to improve a little bit, he does have a little bit of room to improve. Tackling a 15, and he's really lacking everywhere else technically. Evan Towler, 19 years old, so he's one perhaps for the future. He's a future prospect. He does have pretty decent physical attributes. Mental attributes aren't the worst for a 19-year-old either. Does have really good potentials we can see there. Technically, not very gifted. Severt Helt Nielsen, as we've seen earlier, was ranked as our best player. Defensive midfielder, or central midfielder, but he does lack a little bit in terms of pace. Maybe expect that from a 32-year-old, but he does work hard, has great teamwork, great leadership, bravery, aggression, determination. He's pretty solid for the ball-winning midfield role, so quite happy we've got him in. Graham Shinney's of a similar mould. Again, we can see he's absolutely tremendous mentally. Does lack a little bit in the physical side of things with pace, acceleration and strength, not really strong points for him. Technically, he's pretty decent as well. Palaversa, again, a new signing that came in for us, 3.5-star rated player. Nothing really stands out too much with Palaversa. He looks pretty solid though for midfield, so it's not too bad. Leighton Clarkson, I think, is going to be very important for us, both in real life and in the game. 3.5-star current ability. He's got good passing, technique, composure, first touch, dribbling. Decisions maybe lacking a little bit, but he's got good vision and work rate and stamina as well, so good for the central midfield role. Gavin Malloy's recently arrived at the club, again 22 years old, has a little bit of room to grow. He can play either centre-back or defensive midfield, but he does lack a little bit in terms of his actual defensive qualities, with possession and tackling struggling. He's down as a fringe player, it's likely how he will be for us as well. Dylan Lobin's a youngster. To be honest with you, probably be looking to let him leave when his contract comes up. It's a shame it's in 2 years. I don't think he's going to develop much into anything. And we've got Dante Polvara next, the American, 24 years old, little bit of room to grow. Again, nothing really jumps out with Dante. He's a decent enough player for the squad, but I can't see him playing too much ahead of the previous midfielders that we've seen. James McGarry can play left back, wing back or left wing. Again, he's okay physically. Mentally, he does lack a little bit in terms of his anticipation and determination. Positioning's a little bit poor for a defensive kind of winger or left back, and he doesn't have great tackling, but kind of technically he's not too bad, can cross the ball and dribble, so he's okay. Shaden Morris, another one that has pretty good physical attributes, really good pace, 15 and 15, it's pretty good for the SPL. He lacks a little bit in terms of his mental attributes, and exactly the same with technical as well, but he does have a bit of room to grow, so we'll see if we can get anything out of him. Vicente Beswayan, the Dutchman, similar again, he's got pretty good pace and agility, but does lack a little bit in terms of technical. He's off the ball, flair and composure are okay, I suppose, for this level. Ryan Duncan is actually out on loan at Queen's Park, which I'm a little bit disappointed about for the start of the season. He's probably a player that we could have used, to be fair, over on the right-hand side of the pitch. He's got room to grow. Hopefully he will develop a little bit while out on loan. Jamie McGrath is going to probably be a key player for us. Can play midfield or attacking midfield. He can also play in the right wing. It just doesn't quite display it there. His pace is maybe a little bit less than what we've got out in the right wing, but I think he makes up for it a little bit with his mental attributes and certainly with his technical attributes. He's very technically gifted for us, so he can do a very good job. Good passing and technique, decent dribbling and so on, so it looks a good player. Kevin Hunrati, not a great deal of point in showing him, he looks terrible, so we'll be getting rid of him as quickly as we can. Duke, who is currently AWOL in real life but is a very good player within this game, particularly because of his physical attributes. He's got really good acceleration, good pace, good strength. It does lack a little bit in terms of the mental side of things, so anticipation, composure's poor, decisions are poor, which is worrying because we're probably going to play him up top. Off the ball's pretty poor as well, but he does have decent teamwork and does have decent technical ability as well here, so he can do a really good job for us. If anything, we can hopefully get a little bit of money going forward for him once we try and evolve the squad a little bit. Topi Keskinen is a new signing that comes in. Similar to a lot of the wingers that we've seen, he's pretty poor technically in the game. He's very good though in terms of his physical attributes. He's absolutely rapid and mentally could be better, but he does have a lot of scope to improve with a 5-star potential ability here, so quite happy with him, excited about him. He could develop into a top player for us. Happy Habib Gay as a striker. Again, looks a good player for this level, to be fair. Pressing forward, really good physically, kind of solid all round there. and mentally he's okay as well. He's got decent off the ball, decent concentration, decisions and anticipation. Composure lacking maybe a little, as well as finishing. Decent heading to go with his 6'2" frame. And Kevin Nisbet's came in on loan recently. Again, he maybe lacked a little bit in terms of pace, but he kind of makes up for it with other things here. So he's a good strength. Really good actually mentally. 13s and 14s kind of across the board for most of the things we need him for. Good heading, good finishing, good penalty taker as well if we need him. Esther Sokler, I think in real life is kind of touted to be the Majorski replacement. Whether he will be or not, we'll see. 6'2", good jumping reach, good heading, so quite a good kind of target forward. Not a role we're likely to play, but it'll be good for crosses. He's kind of decent mentally and does have a little bit of room to grow, but he does have kind of half decent technical ability as well, so expecting big things from him. And Peter Ambrose is a new signing that's came into the club as well. Quite a young player, bit of room to grow. Again, he's got pretty good physical attributes, especially for this league. It's quite a physical league. The off the ball attributes really the best thing he's got going for him in terms of mental attributes and technical attributes. Again, heading's really has more kind of strong point with this side of things. So we've got a decent squad. We'll run you through the tactic I'm looking to play now with this team, just based on what I've seen with the squad so far. So it's going to be a 3-5-2 with 2 holding midfielders, 2 wingers and 3 at the back. So we're looking here then at 2 wide centre backs with a ball playing defender in between the 2 of them. Kind of thoughts here are that I'm quite light in defence at the moment. I've only really got 1 good right back and 1 good left back, and really 2 centre backs. So I'm thinking this is the best way of doing it, with the 2 of them getting forward to provide some support. So the half back, Helt Nielsen, should hopefully stay back and drop in with the central defender. Ball winning midfielder should be kind of closing players down for us, along with the defensive wingers. The defensive wingers do also get forward for us and get to the byline and get crosses into the 2 strikers. So it's quite a good role in Football Manager if you haven't played it very often. It's certainly been working pretty well for me recently. Playing with a central midfielder on attack, just really so that they can occupy the space behind the strikers and provide some more support, get some late runs into the box as well for those crosses that come in from the defensive wingers. Pressing forward, and I've got him to roam from position so that he comes out and drops back a little bit to receive the ball, provide some support and some overlaps. And Esther Sokler currently occupying the advanced forward slot, so that'll probably be our main goal threat for the season. In terms of what I'm asking the guys to do, I'm asking the defensive wingers to mark the opposition wing backs, and that's really just to bring them closer to them, stop any sort of short balls going to them, and maybe steal the ball as well when they're closing down. Asked both of the wingers as well to cross from the byline, and pretty much the full team have asked to tackle harder, just to get stuck in pretty much here. Defensive midfielder positions are just the same instructions, with tackle harder, and with the wide centre backs we're going to request that they cross from the byline if they find themselves up there, just with tackle harder. Same for the ball playing defender, playing with a cautious mentality just to try and give us a little bit of steel at the back. In terms of the instructions for the team, we're going to ask them to focus play down the wings and pass into space with a standard width. Crosses, we're going to look to play them low, give us more of a chance. Run at the defence with shorter passing and a higher tempo. In transition, it's going to be gegen press, so counter pressing and counter when we win the ball. And just ask the goalkeeper to roll it out to the defenders, play it out from the back if we can from there. Put the much higher defensive line on with a high press, just really to compact the side a little bit, and requested to get stuck in and trigger the press a little bit more as well to close the guys down. So yeah, going on from there, I think the defensive wingers are going to play a massive role, and here they are providing the majority of the width. Again, we can see Clarkson will get forward. McGrath and Keskinen look good for that role. Helt Nielsen, so on, look really good for those sort of roles. Have developed a second tactic, just if we do make some signings. I don't really like a 3 at the back. I'd prefer to play with this one if I can. So really this would be kind of the lineup we'd be looking at for now. It would be 4 at the back with 2 full-backs. We'd be putting Helt Nielsen back into central defence. Full-backs can kind of overlap. Got the pressing forward still up there. But we've got the central defender and defend for Rebezic. Said Help Nielsen can play centre back, he's just not the quickest. Rebezic, again, we're putting on just central defender instruction, not ball playing, because he's not the greatest of players on the ball. With the full-backs, I've asked Devlin just to support McGrath, because McGrath will occupy that wing quite a lot. So just to support and overlap when he can. Palaversa's just going to sit in there, hopefully provide a little bit of a shield for the defence, and Clarkson will still get forward to provide support. Keskinen have changed to an inverted winger, really because he's right-footed, he can cut inside, provide a little bit more of a threat from the central position, running with that pace. And really because of that, we've put McKenzie onto an attacking role so that he actually does get forward more and does the overlap a little bit more. So I think to me that's my preference is to play this way, but I need to get the personnel in first. In terms of the in transition and in possession and so on, it's basically the same as what we had with the previous tactic. So yeah, we'll see if we can get anyone in to try and complement this. I think we're lacking at centre back and wing back positions. Really see if we can improve on them and see what's available to us in the market. The club dynamics are not great at the minute, really due to a lot of kind of new players coming into the club. You wouldn't think the team cohesion could be as bad as that, considering Aberdeen have won their first 8 games of the season in real life, but at the moment it's currently sitting as abysmal, so we need to get that improved so the performances come. Club atmosphere isn't too bad, that can be quite quickly remedied. Managerial support's pretty good at the minute. We have just came in, so we need to try and keep the guys happy. Again, we can see absolutely no issues with anyone at the current time with the club. If we have a look at the club hierarchy, we've only got Graham Shinnie as a team leader, but I'd imagine that Devlin and Nielsen, both going to likely get a lot of game time, will kind of naturally develop into team leaders as well for the side to help out some of the younger players and really just provide that leadership on the pitch. Looking at the squad planner as well, we can see what sort of depth we have within the squad. So goalkeeper, we're not looking too bad. I don't think we'll need to improve on that quite just yet. Centre back, I do need to get some improvements there. Devlin's technically a right back. Jack Milne looks like he's got some potential, but Mackenzie's a left back as well. So in terms of the centre back slot, I'd rather play 2 at the back in the centre. We'll see if we can improve on that. Defensive midfield, we're absolutely stocked with decent players in there, so I'm not too fussed about those positions. Same with the central midfield position, I don't think we need to go hunting for anyone there just now. Right wing position, maybe we could improve a little bit. Left wing position, I've put Duke in there, I think he could play there if we really need him to. And up front, we look as if we're pretty sorted as well. We've got some decent strikers there. So food for thought. Staffing situation at the club currently isn't great. We've got a lot of empty slots here and I can't do everything myself. So we'll need to get some help in, and I'm going to place an advert just now for the head of youth development. That, generally speaking, is how I try and get my staff in, make it a little bit more realistic. I might go hunting for some scouts, but I will request here that we get a new set piece coach in to try and help out. Yeah, we've got a lot of slots to fill here, and hopefully we can do that soon. Let's take a look at the club's vision and expectations kind of going forward here. So they're expecting us really to work within the wage budget. We've just came in, so they're kind of reserving judgment on us for that at the moment, but that shouldn't be a problem. Want us to qualify for the Europa League and also reach the latter stages of the Scottish Cup and the Viaplay League Cup in Scotland. I'd be quite happy to do that if we could. They want us to play entertaining football and develop players using the club's youth system, and that's really dependent on what comes through the youth system, really. Hopefully we get a good head of youth development in to help out with that. Supporters want us to develop players as well, want us to play entertaining football. I would rather do that myself too, and they want us to be competitive against our rivals Rangers and Celtic. They're actually happy for us just to qualify for the Conference League, so a little bit of slack there. Club's finances don't really take into account the sale of Bojan Majowski recently, which was just under 7 million. We've only got 2.8 million in the bank, a transfer budget of 250,000 and quite a low kind of wage budget as well, but we do have some room to play with it. I think there's about $4,000 left in there compared to what we're currently spending, and we've got quite a low scouting budget, so I might put some of the transfer budget into that to find some free transfers if possible. And lastly, into the development centre before we kind of move on with things, just to have a look at some of the youngsters that might have a chance of coming through. So first up, we've got Alfie Bavic, who's an 18-year-old striker. Doesn't look as if he's first team ready, so I might be looking to loan him out this season just to give him some game time and hopefully some development so that he's ready for the future. Jack Milne's a centre-back. He actually looks pretty decent. Positioning maybe off a little bit, but he's got good potential and pretty high jumping reach, so he can probably come up actually to the first team just now, train with the squad and get a few minutes. Jayden Richardson doesn't have the greatest potential, but he does have some good physical attributes in there, which can be quite handy really for a right back. So I think what we'll do is we'll bring him up to the first team squad as well. And then what we'll do after this is we'll get carrying on with some of the season now. So we welcome our first signing, which is Danny Wilson, who's a Scottish centre-back, left-footed. Looks really good for us. I said, looks centre-back. In terms of his qualities, he's really good kind of tackling and passing and heading and so on. So good ball-playing defender for us. Previously of Rangers, Liverpool and most recently Colorado, so they might not go down too well with the fans. He's a previous Rangers player, but he does come in on a free transfer, which is good for us. Our season got underway in the League Cup with Clarkson swinging a corner in for Rubezic to put us 1-0 up in the 4th minute of the game. Devlin then came down the right wing, played it across to McGrath with a nice neat 1-2. Clarkson put it in, and it was eventually turned home from Esther Sockler to put us 2-0 up. Into the 62nd minute, Arbroath play a ball over the top, catching out our high line to bring it back to 2-1. And that's how the game ended. We now welcome in our second signing of the season. It's Josh Wilson-Esbrand from Manchester City, who's a left back. Looks good. We're only paying 6.1k per month for him and 20% of his wages. He has been asked to play as a complete wing back, however. Looking at his statistics, he's very good physically, pretty solid mentally as well here, probably a little bit better than Jack McKenzie, and he's got good crossing and dribbling, and he's decent with his tackling and technique as well. Good potential ability, that won't really matter for us. But yeah, we've brought him in really to provide competition and probably improve the left back position with McKenzie and McGarry there. Can also play a little bit more advanced if we want to play him in the defensive wing role. We've had to change the formation slightly. We've changed that to complete wing back and attack, really just so that we don't upset Manchester City, because we'd like to potentially get further loans from them going forward if possible. And here comes our third new signing who's came in. So it's Michael Svoboda, who comes in from Venezia in Italy. He comes in on a season-long loan. We don't have to pay any monthly contribution. We only have to pay 100% of his wages and a mandatory fee at £160,000 at the end of the season for him to join permanently. So looking at him, he looks a fairly solid centre-back. Comes in, probably he's our second best now behind Danny Wilson, but good physical attributes. We don't have him fully scouted. I do have the attribute masking on for this particular game. So tackling's good, marking's good. He's good enough for what we need him for. So he comes in, he's better than the previous centre-backs that we had before Danny Wilson. Good potential ability as well. So I'm happy with this signing. It should provide good competition at centre-back for us. And on to our second game of the League Cup group stages. We've got Wilson-Esbrand coming down the left. Swings a ball in, Kevin Nesbitt scores. So an assist on Esbrand's debut and a goal for Nesbitt as well. It's his first goal for us. 67th minute, played out wide to Morris, who cuts it back, and Ambrose taps it in for his first goal for us as well. And the game ends 2-0. Into the third game of the Viaplay Cup, and Clarkson swings in a corner for Danny Wilson to turn home in the 22nd minute, puts us 1-0 up. Esbrand plays the ball forward to Duke, takes it on a run and slots it home for us in the 23rd minute, 2-0 lead. Into the 25th minute, so we nick the ball again with Nesbitt, plays it through to Morris, and it's a simple tap in for Duke to put us 3-0 up. And still in the first half, Clarkson swings in another corner and Nesbitt gets his head onto it to make it 4-0. Second half now, 65th minute, recycled a corner here. Keskinen slots it home to the far post to put us 5-0 up. And that's how the game ended. And we come on to the final group stage game. So we've got the ball down the right here. Played through to McGrath, who slots it home to put us 1-0 up against Kelty Hearts. At the 26th minute, we've got a corner and Danny Wilson rises to put us 2-0 up. Still in the first half, in the 43rd minute, Elton Nielsen's got it in the right, plays it through to McGrath, plays it across, and Guy puts it in with a simple tap in. 74th minute now, played down the right to McGrath, plays it in, and Duke has a nice easy tap in as well. Game ends 4-0. So I didn't want to show too much of the League Cup, just with it being the group stage against really weaker sides, to be fair, so wasn't too much point in showing the games. We're expected to win them. So we have finished top of the group, 13 goals scored, 1 against, full marks, won all 4 games and 12 points. Looking through the tables, it looks as though there hasn't really been any big upsets, so should have a decent team in the next round when it comes. So we've now had the draw for the second round of the Viaplay Cup. We're hoping to get a home tie. We've got that home tie against Hibs, so it's quite a tricky one. Not going to be easy. Hibs are pretty decent in this game. Looking through the sort of ties, there's nothing really jumps out. Celtic away to Raith Rovers, Rangers at home to Dundee. They're the kind of big threats in the cup. The only other tie that really jumps out is Hearts against Motherwell, an all-Premiership affair. So we're coming to the end of the video. I just thought I'd show you another signing that we've got potentially coming in. We're just waiting on a work permit for Momo and Bai. Thanks very much for watching, by the way, if you've made it this far. So he comes in on a free transfer, looks just as good as Danny Wilson in my view. He's 6'4", good jumping reach and strength. He's pretty quick as well. Decent positioning, could be better. Anticipation's decent, maybe lacks a little bit in concentration and decisions. Passing, tackling and marking's okay, and heading's pretty good. So I said we'll probably wrap the video up very shortly, and we'll come back really for the next game, which is going to be the opening game of the season. We'll show you that. It's going to be Ross County at home, and what we'll probably do as well is we'll play through that game, and we'll play through the game away to Kilmarnock. Then we'll probably come back after that for the Celtic game and the end of the transfer window.